weight loss clients, and we've used this, and I've seen people lose fat, preserve muscle, because, hey, what's going on? It's Caleb of Empowerment Essentials Nutrition Coaching Program, and today we're going to talk about how much protein you need to get in order to optimize fat loss during your weight loss journey and preserve as much muscle as you can. Alright, so you're probably wondering, okay, how am I supposed to achieve this perfect protein balance? Why do I need to do it? How do I do it? So first and foremost, if you're not getting enough protein, it's very sad. This means muscle, valuable muscle, could be sacrificed in the journey to weight loss, and that's not good because muscle actually provides the most calories burned in your total calories burned equation. So we want to be able to keep that. When we have enough muscle, we're happy, everything's good. So we're going to get right to it. We're going to use an example. Let's say 200 pounds. That's our starting weight. That's our current weight. You can plug in your number. And what we're going to do is we're going to divide that by 2.2 to get us our kilograms per pound conversion. And so when we divide our starting weight by 2.2, here we're going to get 90, I'm going to round up and say 91 kilograms. So that's going to be the weight that we end up using in kilograms to do all of our math from here. So pause the video, get your calculator out, double check your math, unless your math whiz, and you can go ahead and fast forward to step 2, but make sure you have your starting weight in pounds. You divide it by 2.2 to get your weight in kilograms. That's important. From here, we're going to take our body weight in kilograms and we're going to times it or multiply it by this range. Now this range we're going to multiply it by is 1.6 grams per kilogram, and the higher end of the range is 2.4 grams per kilogram. Yes. So let's take a quick pause to understand why we're using this range. In order to optimize fat loss, we need to make sure our body has the materials that it needs to preserve and hang on to the muscle. Now, the other asterisk to this is we also need resistance training. And I'm just going to abbreviate because we need to create an environment for our bodies to be able to want to hang on to the muscle. If we're not challenging our bodies physically, and there's a spectrum of how we can do that, and I've seen all different ways, from those that are the sedentary folks that just increase their walking, getting their steps in, to those that are somewhat exercise and they're just going a little more intense in the gym. Either way you look at it, you're going to need some form of intense physical activity than what you're used to in the norm, because that creates an environment where your body wants to hang on to the muscle. And that's where protein comes in, because when you have that environment where you're challenging the muscle, challenging your body's saying, hey, we need to hang on to this, and we also need the materials to support it. So if you're in a very non-aggressive calorie deficit to lose weight, and I would say if you know your macros, you know your numbers, and I think this is something we'll go over in a different video, but let's say you're taking about 250 to 500 calories less than your usual per day. So that's the deficit. If you're between maybe 250 to 500 calories at most less a day, you can get this 1.6 grams per kilogram, and you'll be okay with that. So let's see what that is. We're just gonna draw little arrows down here to point out our first range. So 91 times 1.6, that's going to give us 100, and I'm going to round up and say 146 grams of protein here on the low end of the range. And if you are in a very aggressive calorie deficit, I'm talking, now we're going from, 500 calories plus, maybe even up to 700 calories, in that range, less than your usual for your maintenance a day. So you want to get a higher amount of protein in that range to be able to, again, sustain the muscle, preserve the muscle as much as you can. You may see some weight loss that comes from muscle mass, because if your cut is just that intense and that aggressive, sometimes you do end up losing muscle, but in the grand scheme of things, it shouldn't be a lot. So when we multiply 91 kilograms times 2.4 for our grams of protein per kilogram of body weight, this gets us to 218 grams protein. So this is our range. What did you get? Let me know in the comments. It's okay to show your work if you want to. No judgment here. There's also no grades. I just want to make sure you have this evidence-based research to figure out how much protein you need. Because if you're in your cut, you're trying to eat less because you have to eat less for the most part to lose weight than what you're used to. Protein is priority. I always start with protein. Once you get your range, start from there. Hopefully this was very helpful. Again, I've used this with a lot of clients. I've been working as a dietitian for over 5 years, and the majority of that has been with weight loss clients. And we've used this, and I've seen people lose fat, preserve muscle, because we're able to have different ways to measure that, whether it's a body composition analysis, whether we're taking different measurements. We can just use the eye test and see it. This is going to be helpful. So hopefully this helps you. If you found value in this video, please like it. We're trying to get up to 100 subscribers, and I'm going to put a date of before September. So by September, I want to get up to 100 subscribers, and this video, I hope, will be a big part of that, because we're showing people how to optimize fat loss, preserve muscle, and like this video, share. There's probably others that could also benefit from it, so don't gatekeep. Don't gatekeep the information here. Don't gatekeep my channel. But I understand if you don't want to share with your friends, but maybe there's other people you can just like kind of deal it off to on the side. So that's been another video. Again, Caleb, registered dietitian of Empowerment Essentials nutrition training or nutrition coaching program. So this has been hopefully helpful, and I'll see you in the next one. And if you have ideas for other topics, let me know in the comments.